Hello, my most amazing artists. Today we're going to be finishing up our African American hero portraits. Make sure that when you get it back, you're working on the correct side. To begin with today, we're going to work on the shiny side. One side should be shiny and only have Sharpie on it. The other side should only have paint on it, and that'll be the side that's a little bit more thick with that paint. It's not so shiny. The shiny side looks better because this is a reverse painting. Even if you're not done painting yet, you're going to flip to the shiny side or your Sharpie side and make sure you have the name of the person that you made a portrait of and signed by your name. So that way when these are hanging in the hallway for our Black History Month African American read-in, everyone knows who the artist was as well as who it is a portrait of. Then, because not everybody might know who that person is or why you considered them a hero, you're going to write why you picked that person. Make sure you're using your best handwriting and be selective about where you're going to put it. Don't put it too close to the person's face, maybe up at the top or off to the side, depending on how much you have to write. At least write one sentence that answers the question, why did you choose that person, or why are they a hero? So I'm saying that this artist is a hero. Jean-Michel Basquiat is a hero because he created and empowered new opportunities for other African American artists. Now, if you're not so sure about why this person's a hero and you just picked them just because, you can go ahead and use that iPad again to do a little bit of research. Just make sure that if you're not done painting yet, you don't take up your whole class researching, because you will need to flip it over and paint after. So I'm going to take a break here and then flip it over, and if I needed to paint, I would. But if your paper is dry, you're going to be able to select a background. To select a background, make sure that you have the paint side down. If the paint is wet, don't place it on top of the paper. If it's dry, you could go ahead and lay it over top. I'm going to pick one background. These backgrounds are patterns because Kehinde Wiley, the artist that we were looking at, used a lot of repetitive backgrounds in his art. They were often of different kinds of things like flowers or feathers, maybe nature things, maybe more abstract things. So I'm going to pick one where I can still read my writing and goes along with the theme of the person I picked. So I don't want it to be too random. That's why even though this one looks good, I don't choose it because it has furniture in the background and a lot of text about that kind of furniture and maybe like a newspaper ad. Didn't quite make sense for the artist I selected, who used a lot of bright, colorful things in his paints in his artwork. So I'm going to pick the flowers. I think it looks good with the colors I used, kind of makes it pop. Then I'm going to flip it over. Now this is only for you to do if your paint is dry. If you need to paint today, you're going to work on painting the back or reverse side of your painting for the entire class, and when you're done, put it on the drying rack with the paint side up to dry. But if you are done and you didn't have to paint today, you're going to pick your background and tape it to it. Now this tape is double-sided tape, meaning it has two sides that are sticky, not just one. You do not have to make a tape ring or create that ring to make it double-sided yourself with this tape because it's already double-sided. It is very sticky though, so when you go to tear it off, make sure that you're barely touching it, but then pull down hard to make sure that it cuts off. Don't use scissors and don't pull up or side to side. That's not going to work. If you need help, please let me know because this is expensive tape and you only need to use 4 pieces, one in each corner on that flip side. Then you're going to carefully hover it over and make sure you match up each of the edges so that this paper fits perfectly on your background. When you're all done, you can put it on the drying rack. If you had to paint today, you're going to put your painted paper with the paint side up on the drying rack next to your background selection. You can still select your background even if your paper's wet by hovering it over top and seeing what looks good with it. Just don't place it down because once you place it down, the paint's going to come off of your clear paper. If it's dry enough, then you can place it down and do the taping. If you painted today and you don't get to do the taping, I will do that part for you, but still select your background by the end of class. Maybe write your name on the back or put it next to your painting on the drying rack so I know it's yours. Now that I have extra time, I'm going to go ahead and do some more research on him or write why I chose him. So I'm writing more about how he knew that in museums there weren't very many African Americans represented in the art. So he really wanted to change that and made a big difference in the art world. He started out as homeless selling his paintings on the streets of New York City, and he finally got to big fame and makes lots of money now. So he really changed the art world for Black people. So I wrote a little bit more about why I chose him just to fill the space and also to be representative of this artist because a lot of people don't know about him. All right, when you're all done, make sure you sign your name on that front side and have your background picked out, whether it's taped to it today or if you just have it next to it on the drying rack with your name on the back. All right, artists.